Detroit. How is Detroit coming back next year? They've lost a couple pieces, brought a couple pieces in. You know, you're losing Tobias. I think that's going to be big for them. They're going to have to depend on John Collins a lot. You know, and this is a big jump for John. You know, he was starting for years and then kind of went to the bench. And Utah sometimes started and came off the bench some last year for the Clippers. He back, like, being depended on in a major way. You know, there was a lot of people questioned that move by the Pistons. Like, so John got to show up.
We got a little light. So, yeah, I was listening to Draymond talk about, you know, John Collins and shit, man. He was saying that, you know, John Collins is very important to, you know, what the Detroit Pistons, you know, need to do, what they gonna do. You know, at one point, you know, he was dependent on in Atlanta. I remember, I think he voiced his displeasure with Trae Young, not, you know, dominating the ball too much. Yeah, he voiced his displeasure with that. And then, you know, after that, I you know, he proved to kind of be right that, you know, Trae Young had, you know, alienated some of his teammates with that, you know, with that same thing where, you know, people thought he was a ball hog. But check out Detroit Pistons Talk playlist, thumbs up the video, share, subscribe to the channel. And the Pistons did get rid of a lot of guys, but I think, you know, they believe in Paul Reed. And Paul Reed showed up big time in the playoffs. He's somebody, who started in this league. I mean, you know, they believe in Ron Holland and the jump, that what he can do. And it's just, you know, honestly, John, you know, Ron just need a jumper. Ron can finish at the rim. Ron can dribble. Ron can do everything but, you know, shoot on the outside. So, you know, whether, you know, he was shooting them 3-point shots, you know, whether it's shooting a 3-pointer, whether it's catching and moving, you know, whether it's, you know, coming off a screen and catching, shooting, you know. But he's right. John Collins has got an opportunity. He's been an all-star in this league, a 2010 guy. A contract is not fully guaranteed, and he could really cash in. He's in a very advantageous situation, which Tobias Harris had a lot of opportunities from that corner, you know, that he didn't capitalize on. You know, he had a lot of opportunities from that corner that he should have capitalized on, and he didn't. He didn't. And you know, John Collins can post up. John Collins is more athletic. And what I want to see is if, you know, JB Bickerstaff can get something defensively out of John Collins. One of the more, you know, frustrating things is when you got hyper athletes, super athletes in the and they're not really good defensively. You know, 95% of the time it's a lack of effort. You know, sometimes it may just be a lack of culture, a lack of technique. I think John Collins can be a better defender than Tobias. And Tobias Harris was a guy that came in, and where the Pistons struggled when they won 14 games, a lot of times they lost the game because they tried to play, you know, they didn't have a power forward. People don't know how critical that was. You know, a lot of times they were losing basketball games. They were losing games because, you know, Beef Stew and whoever he was with, Bagley, you know, they was trying to run two big fellas in order, and in a lot of people's pipe dream, that's where the NBA is at on this channel, that being the cop. But in order to have two big fellas in there, somebody has to punish the other guys with the back to the basket. Somebody has to be a post savant, and you don't have those anymore. Ain't no way somebody who, you know, who is smaller than me, you know, I'm 7 foot and he's 6'9", 220, and I can't punish him and back him up and make him pay every time and get to the foul line or get a deuce or get an and one. That's the problem. But with John Collins, there's going to be a lot of opportunity as of right now to throw the ball to him in the post. There's going to be opportunities from him in the corner. He's going to get a lot of great looks for the corner, especially with Isaiah Joe, Duncan Robinson. He's going to be challenged to be an all-star this year. He's going to be challenged to be an all-star this year. That's a fact. He's going to be challenged to be an all-star this year. He's going to have every opportunity as this roster is constructed. July, what is this, 29, 2020? He's 2026. He's going to have every opportunity to be an all-star. The 5 rebounds he got last year, they got to get closer to the 10 that he can get. If he give you 10 rebounds and he can hit that open corner three, he's already a upgrade from Tobias. And you can get him to play average defense or above average defense. No, now we speaking. Like, he's very important, but I think it's an upgrade. I think it's an upgrade, but they got to, as far as a lob threat, as far as being able to stretch the floor, they got better. I'm gonna speak on that. They got better, but if he can get you that 10 rebounds, if he can get you 19 and 10, bro, he's gonna all that shit he talked about. Trae Young dominate the ball, he need to share the ball and all that. He's about to be in a situation where, nigga, you can make the All-Star team 20 and 10. Either you can prove Trae right or you can prove Trae wrong. He's about to be in that situation. But he's right. He's very important. But ultimately, the Pistons still, got to get that guy. You hear rumors them talking about getting Bradley Beal. You hear rumors them talking about, DeMar DeRozan. They may be interested in Benedict Mathurin. They got to get that other guy that can get them a bucket. You got to get security behind Asar Thompson and Ron if they don't make that offensive jump. I feel like if they pay Asar Thompson, Ron Hollins is going to make that monumental jump. I'm telling y'all, that's what it is. I'm telling y'all, if they don't bring nobody in general to play next to Cade or help Cade, whether it's DeRozan, Benedict Mathurin, or whoever it may be, Kyrie, if they don't bring that guy in, neither one of them gonna make the jump next season. I tell you, if they bring a guy in like DeRozan or somebody, Benedict Mathurin, if they bring a guy in, one of them gonna make the jump. But I guarantee you, if they pay one of them, or when they pay Asar Thompson, I'm willing to bet, and they bring somebody else in, I'm willing to bet Ron Hollins is the one that's going to make the offensive jump first. But in general, that's good. You can play Ron and Asar together. You can play Ron at the 4. People say, well, Ron's so small. Man, it's not the same NBA. It's not somebody. You don't have to worry about Sean Kemp and them type of. I'm telling you, you can do it. That's what I'm saying about Trey Murphy. You can do it. But in general, this is going to be very interesting. But I agree with Draymond Green. John Collins is in a very advantageous situation. He's in a situation where he's going to be depended on. Although, he's getting a second life. All that shit he talked about Trae Young, now it's time to, really, you're going to be counted on as this roster is constructed right now. Regardless what they do to Durant, reality, you're going to be counted on to be the second scorer in this offense. So now you have an opportunity to prove Trae Young right or prove Trae Young wrong. But hey, appreciate the love, support. Thumbs up the video, share the video, subscribe to the channel. Next subscribe button is the bell icon button. Hit all notifications. Increase your chance to get notifications. We go live or drop a video. Peace.